Welcome to the RebelLUG 2077 Cyberpunk collaboration. Part 1, designed by Everett, aka A-Brick Interest, this build depicts the police investigation of gang activity. Known for using the same parts in almost all of his builds, Everett makes great use of gold slopes forming a roof on the second level, and to the right hand side he utilizes a bunch of signage with written Asian characters. Moving to Everett's work in progress images, you can see that he used a small sideways building technique to fill out a wall with 4 6x6 tiles, and in the second photo you get an even better look at a small stall with some pieces from the Chinese New Year sets, as well as a small yellow panel made of wedge plates, tiles, and jumpers. Part 2, designed by Andrew aka CRCT Productions, this build takes place amidst a raid in the industrial sector. Andrew's always going bigger than almost anyone in every collab, but this time around it's so massive literally any angle of this model could be the main shot. Even pieces like the speeder feature unique design elements that like these circular vents. The nearly finished photo shows just how big it is, and it brings attention to colors like the dark green cylinders and the cracked tan wall that kind of disappear in the background. There's even this small little robot dude that I think is super neat and just kind of gets lost in the main image, but it's just a cool detail nonetheless. He did a great job here. Part 3, designed by Simon aka SI MOC, this build is just a neon overload, and it's very impressive. With that large number of signage and wires hanging above, the shot is incredibly immersive. Adding to that immersion, the neon striped roads lead the eye straight to near center frame, where some police agents are positioned alongside of a patrol car that Simon designed. In an earlier prototype shot, Simon used a red drone mech in place of the patrol car, which I feel like shows the scale and workable color scheme of the model, especially since it's so easy to replace components to create entirely new scenes. Designed by Abe, aka Hypolite Bricks, this build is yet another massive entry into the collaboration. There's 5 floors to the center building, and my favorite is easily the karaoke floor up top. There's even signage that brings so much more attention to it. To the right is a colorful shopping district. Note the use of the best LEGO color in existence, teal. And to the left is the hotel featuring some neat gold embellishments up top and some awesome edited signage. The floor is super densely populated, bringing the whole square to life, and Abe even went as far as to design some custom floating cars. While it's not obvious in the main image, this build is actually pretty gray in its non-edited form. The work in progress image shows off the small details like the 1x1 studded door, the garage-like entrance constructed of grill pieces, and I love the Technic frame holding up a dark red cloth, creating this neat shade on the center building. Part 5, designed by Joe aka J&J Bricks, this build depicts a rooftop duel. While the figures are the most prominent focus in the foreground, it's so hard to ignore the beautiful cityscape in the background. There's just a ton of neon tones, and of course the gem of the build is the giant geisha, and the red highlights accentuate the translucent blue so well. Most impressively, Joe used a set of 1x2x5 bricks to add a subtle structure to the nose area, which was actually apparently by accident, but it just turned out to create the coolest nose detail I think I've ever seen in like a geisha style build. And oh, the green eyes are just absolutely perfect. They just match the side buildings, around the geisha, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. I'm Jet, aka JetBricks, and this is actually my build for part 6 of the collaboration. I designed Sector 4, the canals, and this shows the RebelLUG themed soldier saving an informant from a cyborg killer. He's already got him bleeding out on the ground pretty bad, and I started by working on the main cluster of buildings. I'm pretty happy with the range of colors that I used. Obviously teal is still number 1 in my heart, and the olive green with the yellow highlight is also a standout in my opinion. There's a sick monorail up top, which was a great last minute addition, and actually allowed Simon to collaborate with me on this project by making a small little cityscape to go behind that. It wasn't actually intentional, I'm pretty sure he just edited his build back there. The work in progress picture shows this neat desert road I was experimenting with before legendary RebelLUG member, pop-up book designer, Grant Davis stepped in and told me to switch to a canal concept after noticing the black tiles underneath the tan clusters forming the road. But that's really it. Part 7 is built by Thomas aka Legion Dude, and this build shows off a gang member's first assignment where he fails to steal a bike thanks to the cops showing up. So first off, we gotta respect the teal placement here, which is just fantastic, and there's a sweet white canopy beneath that surrounded by some fantastic dark gray textures. I love the black wires with lights hanging above the alley as well. It just brings so much more immersion to the scene and makes it feel really dense, as well as that giant number 9, and the use of color here is just absolutely stunning. In the work in progress images, you can see how he set up his lights on the not so pretty back end, and the second image shows off the street where there's some puddles and sideways construction to create the white lines beneath the canopy. Part 8 is designed by the boy Daniel Barwigan, and this build depicts a busy street scene. Daniel uses the classic grayscale color scheme to good effect and some good accent pieces with reds, blues, and a little green. Moving to the street view, you can get a great look at the roof, which is constructed using some minifig shield pieces, as well as a sense of the tiled textured walls around the bar. Note the awesome fig barfs on the street too, and you can see how Daniel actually made the wall, or the floor actually, and it's just a wall built up normally, and then he just laid it down on its side to create a cool little street scene. Part 9 is designed by Ryan, aka Goatman461, and this build shows a krill-based virus outbreak in the lower levels of the city. There's some wonderful numbering at the bottom with 2 fully detailed floors above. The first level sports some cool doorways arranged in this 3-sector fashion, and there's just some beautiful figures on that level as well, just major props for the figure placement too. And moving upwards, Ryan's created some wonderful signage, and my favorite is this giant krill on this pink background. In the whip image, you can see how it's constructed, just building the krill in black and then putting it behind a translucent pink layer of bricks. However, there seems to be a final layer atop that in Photoshop for a more cyberpunk look, and that translates to the rest of the signs as well. It's just really great Photoshop work, props to Ryan for that. Part 10 is designed by Jan, aka Darth Bricks, and this build shows a police versus gang scenario in the Energy District. Jan really brings the area to life with a ton of blue light and other blue accents like the crossbeam supports you see against the gray buildings. I love the way he's built up these hatches with the tie canopy pieces. He's even opened one up, which just kind of makes this cool leakage effect with the light there. Moving to his work in progress images, you can see there's just a ton of color here that was not visible in the main image thanks to the lighting. Yellows, greens, whites, and reds that weren't super visible before thanks to the lighting, but the second image really shows the EL wire too that makes up the awesome hot dog sign for the booth on the second level. Part 11 is designed by Finn, aka Lego Finn, and this build shows the police raiding a gang warehouse. Finn's broken away the wall of the building, which allows the viewer to see what's going on inside, and there's a beautiful figure posing going on here, and really just engages the audience into the scene. I love the red bike to the left side on the bottom, as well as the number 11 downstairs. Upstairs, there's some sort of data download into someone's brain while a gang agent hides from the police. In the whip image, Finn obviously started by creating the building itself before designing the sideways constructed floor on the bottom level, and there's even no exterior street yet. The second photo brings the addition of lighting and the final figure placement too. Alright, part 12 is designed by H2 Brick, and I really didn't read the story for this build. It's a paragraph, like I don't got time. So I would just assume that this is just an engagement between, an agent and these kind of ops hanging out on the platform there, and they're just kind of vibing. So yeah, Noah did a great job with this build. There's some great neon green lighting behind those crossbeam structures. It's just absolutely beautiful to look at. I love the number 2 to the side as well. There's some awesome snot techniques with the 1x2 plates and just other sort of plates lined up on the side to create this dripping down effect from the main platform itself. There's a sweet white door there as well. Noah just really knocked it out of the park on this build. I can't believe, there's even some wire in the side too through one of these support structures. The work in progress image for the build is just a number 2, and you just kind of get a better look at it from the final shot. And you can see there's some great cylinders to the side with some red highlights within that. And just the number 2 is just so well constructed here. I love the military stencil style that we all went for with this collab. Part 13 of the collab is designed by Caleb, aka Elven Ranger, and he just created this beautiful scene where a robot is discovering life for the first time in the form of this plant. Kind of a Wall-E situation going on here. There's some great textures in the background buildings. There's some tans, some grays, some dark reds, which I love, and just a cool little banner on the ground as well. Moving to his work in progress image, you can see just how he constructed the floor there with a bunch of snot and regular studs up construction mixed in. There's also a sweet agent on the floor upstairs too, on that rooftop, which you kind of don't see in the main image, and a cool little Ninjago CMF print up top too, near that white building. Just overall a beautiful scene composed by Caleb. That's what he's good at. Always just high quality builds from him. Part 14 of the collab is designed by James, aka Lego Mania, and this is an alternate method of transportation as these agents enter the city facility. So you can see there's a beautiful number 12 on the side there, a awesome neon road that kind of reminds me of Simon's build actually, but it's still a cool detail nonetheless, and the alternate method of transportation, which is that sweet little baggage car thing on the monorail, and that's just super sweet in general. I love that this build allows you to focus on the whole city itself rather than zooming in on specific details. It just kind of sacrifices textures in form of just an awesome cityscape, and I love that trade-off. I think it's not done enough. So just major props to James here for a fantastic build. And if you move to the work in progress image, you can see him aligning that baggage car thing on the cityscape, and even some graffiti with the YOLO behind there, which I didn't notice before. You know, you only live once, so gotta do what you gotta do. Alexander, aka Dogma54, builds part 15 of our collab, and you can see just a 300% increase of gang activity throughout this thing. There's just a ton of gang members everywhere on the ground. They're just kind of hanging out, and there's some beautiful dark red buildings to the right side, along with some sweet signage, which is just, you know, neon galore above, which is really, like a lot of these builds, brings a lot of immersion with things going on above and to the sides above the street scene. There's some cool puddles made using some snot techniques, some grills on the bottom. Just wow, absolutely phenomenal use of color here too. It's kind of drab, but it's not too boring where you like don't want to look at it. It's just the perfect amount of color where it's just absolutely stunning throughout. I love how many whip images he sent, by the way. There's a cool little staircase build, some neat little snot usage for the floor, shows how he built that up, some alternate angles even that he was exploring, which I think honestly I might prefer to the main shot, but let's not judge him on his mistakes. And that's really it for his build. Alright, now we get to part 16. The John's enthusiast himself, intensepotato, aka Tobias, built this awesome collab entry, which really inspired everyone to do the stenciled number style. I just love how this build turned out. It's just the perfect amount of gray, you know, as much gray as possible is the perfect amount of gray, with some great accents in some green tones, some blues, and even some yellows for some little details on that main platform there with the opposition force hanging out on the ground. Just wow, so many great details. Like I said, the wires hanging above, just different uses of flex tubing on the sides as well for even more wiring. Just absolute insanity by Tobias. I love the bottom ground area as well with the dark tan and olive green mixture. The whole thing just works together super well, and you can even see some dirt bleeding up from the ground onto the main support column on the left side. It just is absolutely beautiful. Tobias knocked it out of the park, and of course, because he's Tobias, he's going to send you way more whip pictures than you ever need. You can see the military stencil there on that main column, as well as some different textures he's experimenting with above that. There's just so many small little greeble details here, some brown usage, which is just phenomenal. Love to see that. And then his final whip, which, you know, shows him like putting everything together on the base plate there, just kind of getting a sense of the layout he wants to pursue. Alright, Luca, aka First Order Lego, tackles part 17, the final entry in our RebelLUG collaboration, where I'm actually going to read the story. It's too bad he won't live, but then again, who does? The end. So Luca's entry is obviously the best because it's the last in the collab, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. Like, Luca just has these crazy concepts that he just finds on Google and just executes them to near perfection. So as you can see, he's got these gang members executing some dude, which is probably, why am I blanking on his name? He's Keanu Reeves. It's probably Keanu Reeves. So he's just executing Keanu Reeves on this epic bridge thing, and there's just some cool chains hanging above. I love the background here with the giant cityscape, and he's just got these cool lights going on behind there, and you can see how he did it in his work in progress image here too with these Technic beam structures, and he's actually blocked out some of the lights to create a higher level of differentiation between the levels. Just some really unique structures, and Luca just obviously just killed it with this build. I'm very happy this was our last entry, just to end it on such a high note. And all these builds were totally phenomenal. I'm just saying Luca did it better than everybody else. So that's going to be it for this collab. Thank you guys for watching. I'm excited to see what we do in the future. You know, obviously I wouldn't know as part of the group itself. So, you know, just stay posted, and I'll see you guys in the next video.